Lilu Dallas Multipass.
A taxi driver saves the universe with a woman who literally fell from the sky. Sounds ridiculous, right? But what if I told you that Bruce Willis almost turned it down? The entire movie was imagined by a 16-year-old, and one of the most iconic costumes in film history was designed by someone who'd never made movie clothes before. The Fifth Element isn't just a cult classic. It's a miracle that almost never happened. And today, you're about to discover why. Welcome back to Classic Real Cuts, where we dig into the movies you love and uncover the stories behind them. If you've ever watched The Fifth Element and wondered how something so wild, so colorful, and so utterly unique ever made it to the screen, you're in the right place. Because this movie, it's one of the most fascinating productions in sci-fi history. Let's dive into 16 facts about The Fifth Element that'll make you want to watch it all over again. Number 1. Here's where it all begins. The Fifth Element wasn't born in a Hollywood pitch meeting. It started in the mind of a 16-year-old French kid named Luc Besson. Yes, the same Luc Besson who would go on to direct Leon, The Professional, and Lucy. But back when he was just a teenager, he started writing this wild, ambitious sci-fi story. He dreamed up Corbin Dallas, Lilu, and this entire neon-soaked future world while still in high school. But here's the kicker. He didn't actually make the movie until he was almost 40. That's over 2 decades of holding onto a vision, refining it, and waiting for the right moment. Imagine carrying a story in your head for that long. That's dedication. That's obsession. And honestly, that's probably why the movie feels so personal and so alive. Number 2. Okay, so imagine The Fifth Element without Bruce Willis. Hard to picture, right? Corbin Dallas is Bruce Willis. But here's the thing. He almost didn't take the role. At the time, Willis was riding high on action hits like Die Hard and Pulp Fiction. He wasn't sure he wanted to dive into a quirky French sci-fi movie with a director known more for art house films than blockbusters. Besson had to personally convince him. And what sealed the deal? Besson's passion. Willis later said that Luc's energy and vision were so infectious, he couldn't say no. Good call, Bruce. Because without him, this movie would have been a completely different beast. Number 3. Let's talk about Lilu. Milla Jovovich's performance is unforgettable. Those big eyes, that childlike wonder, and of course, that completely made-up language she speaks throughout the film. It's called the divine language, and Luc Besson and Milla created it together specifically for the movie. But here's the wild part. Milla had to memorize entire monologues in a language that didn't exist. No grammar rules, no real syntax, just phonetic sounds strung together. And yet, she delivers every line with so much emotion and conviction that you believe it's real.
Good. That's...
There are over 400 words in the divine language, and Milla learned every single one. That's not just acting. That's linguistic acrobatics. Number 4. You know those costumes, right? The outrageous, gender-bending, impossibly creative outfits that make The Fifth Element look like nothing else? Those were designed by Jean-Paul Gaultier, the legendary French fashion designer. And get this, he had never designed costumes for a movie before. Not once. Luc Besson personally asked him, and Gaultier went absolutely wild. He created over 900 costumes for the film. 900. From Lilu's iconic thermal bandage outfit, to the flight attendant's cone bras, to Ruby Rhod's animal print everything. Gaultier turned The Fifth Element into a moving fashion show. And honestly, the costumes are half the reason this movie feels so alive. They're bold, weird, sexy, and futuristic in a way that still holds up today. Gaultier didn't just dress the characters, he dressed an entire universe. Number 5. The opera scene. If you've seen the movie, you know exactly what I'm talking about. The blue alien diva, Plava Laguna, performs this breathtaking aria that shifts from classical opera into something electronic and impossible. It's one of the most iconic scenes in the entire film. But here's the secret. That voice, it's not one person. It's 2. The operatic parts were sung by Albanian soprano Inva Mula. But the superhuman, digitally altered sections, those were created by composer Eric Serra, using Inva's voice and then stretching, layering, and manipulating it until it became something no human could actually perform live. The result is haunting, beautiful, and totally otherworldly. It's the kind of scene that sticks with you long after the credits roll.
Number 6.
Ruby Rhod. Love him or hate him, you can't ignore him. Chris Tucker's performance as the hyperactive, flamboyant radio host is pure chaos, and almost none of it was in the original script. Tucker improvised most of his lines, his movements, even his high-pitched screams. Luc Besson loved it so much, he just let the camera roll. In fact, Tucker's energy was so intense that some of the other actors struggled to keep up. There are stories of Bruce Willis trying not to laugh during takes because Chris was so unpredictable. And honestly, that manic energy is exactly what the movie needed. Ruby Rhod could have been annoying. Instead, he became iconic. Number 7. Here's a weird one. Gary Oldman plays Zorg, the movie's villain. Bruce Willis plays Corbin, the hero. You'd think they'd have at least one big confrontation, right? Some kind of face-to-face showdown? Nope, not once. They never share a single frame. Their characters exist in the same story, but they never actually meet. It's one of the strangest creative choices in action movie history, and yet it works. It makes the universe feel bigger, more chaotic. Sometimes the hero and the villain are just ships passing in the night, both chasing the same thing but never colliding. Oldman later joked that he and Bruce were like two actors making completely different movies that somehow got edited together. Fact number 8. At the time of its release in 1997, The Fifth Element was the most expensive European film ever produced. The budget was around $90 million, which was absolutely massive for a non-American production. Luc Besson shot most of it in France and London, using a mix of practical sets, miniatures, and early CGI. And you can see every dollar on screen. The world building is insane. From the flying cars to the sprawling cityscapes to the intricate alien designs, everything feels rich and textured. It's the kind of movie that only happens when a director is given the resources to fully realize their vision. And honestly, it paid off. The Fifth Element made over $260 million worldwide. Not bad for a quirky French sci-fi flick that half of Hollywood thought would flop. Number 9. Remember Lilu's white thermal bandage outfit? The one she wears for half the movie? Yeah, that almost didn't happen. Test audiences and studio executives were worried it was too revealing, too sexual, too risky for a mainstream sci-fi film. But Besson fought for it. He argued that Lilu's costume wasn't about sexualization, it was about innocence and rebirth. She's literally a newborn being in that scene, emerging from a reconstruction chamber. The outfit is clinical, not seductive. And you know what? He was right. The costume became iconic not because it was provocative, but because it was weird and memorable. It's one of the most recognizable looks in sci-fi cinema, and it almost got cut. Number 10. If you've ever looked at The Fifth Element and thought, this feels like a comic book, you're not wrong. Luc Besson grew up reading French science fiction comics, especially the magazine Métal Hurlant, which featured artists like Moebius and Jean-Claude Mézières. In fact, Mézières was brought on as a concept artist for the film, and his visual style is all over it. The chunky machinery, the retro-futuristic tech, the crowded cityscapes. It all comes straight from that French comic book tradition. The movie doesn't just reference comics, it's built from them, panel by panel. And that's why it looks so different from American sci-fi. It's not sleek and sterile like Star Trek, it's messy, colorful, and lived in. It feels like a place people actually inhabit, not just a set. Let's jump straight to fact number 11. The movie opens in 1914 Egypt, with an alien race called the Mondo Shawans, retrieving 4 elemental stones from a temple. It's a slow, mysterious prologue that sets up the entire mythology of the film. But test audiences hated it. They thought it was boring, confusing, and too disconnected from the main story. The studio wanted Besson to cut it and start the movie in the future with Corbin Dallas. Besson refused. He knew that opening was essential. Without it, the audience wouldn't understand the stakes or the history. He fought to keep it, and thank God he did. That scene grounds the entire movie. It gives the story weight and mythology. Without it, The Fifth Element would have just been a goofy action flick. With it, it became something deeper. Number 12. Okay, here's where things get a little heady. The idea of a fifth element isn't something Besson made up. It comes from ancient philosophy. The classical elements, earth, water, fire, air, were believed to make up all matter. But philosophers like Aristotle proposed a fifth element called ether, or quintessence, which represented the divine, the spiritual, the thing that held everything together. In the movie, that fifth element is love, not in a cheesy way, but in a cosmic, existential way. Lilu represents that binding force, the thing that makes life worth saving. It's surprisingly philosophical for a movie with exploding spaceships and Chris Tucker in a leopard print jumpsuit. But that's part of what makes The Fifth Element so special. It's deep and dumb at the same time. It knows exactly what it is. Fact number 13. This was 1997, remember? CGI was still pretty limited. So when you see things blowing up in The Fifth Element, a lot of those explosions were real, practical effects. Miniatures, pyrotechnics, models built by hand and then destroyed on camera. There's a visceral, physical quality to the action that you don't get in modern blockbusters. When a spaceship crashes, you feel the weight of it. When a building explodes, the debris looks real because it is real. Besson and his effects team built entire miniature cities just to blow them up. And honestly, it gives the movie a texture that digital effects can't replicate. It's messy, it's imperfect, it's beautiful. Number 14. When The Fifth Element was released in America, critics were mixed. Some loved it, others called it style over substance. Too weird, too French. It didn't perform as well as the studio hoped. But internationally, it was a massive hit. Especially in Europe and Asia, audiences went crazy for it. And over time, it found its audience in the US too. Home video, cable TV, midnight screenings. The Fifth Element became a cult classic. The kind of movie people discovered on their own and fell in love with. Today, it's considered one of the best sci-fi films of the 90s. It's inspired countless filmmakers, designers, and artists. It proved that weird, colorful, big-hearted sci-fi could work. And that's a legacy worth celebrating. Number 15. Yep, Luc Besson actually wrote a script for a sequel. It was called The Fifth Element 2, Mr. Shadow. The story would have followed Corbin and Lilu as they faced a new cosmic threat, diving deeper into the mythology of the divine language and the elemental stones. So why didn't it happen? A few reasons. Besson moved on to other projects. The studio wasn't sure a sequel would work. And honestly, maybe it was for the best. The Fifth Element is perfect as a standalone film. It tells a complete story. It doesn't need a sequel. Some movies are better left alone, and this is one of them. But still, it's fun to imagine what could have been. And fact number 16. Here's the final fact, and it's a wild one. During the making of The Fifth Element, Milla Jovovich and Luc Besson fell in love. They got married in 1997, the same year the movie was released. Now, the marriage didn't last. They divorced 2 years later. But while they were together, their chemistry fueled the movie. You can feel it on screen. Lilu isn't just a character Milla is playing. She's a reflection of the creative partnership between her and Besson. That intensity, that vulnerability, that energy, it's real. And maybe that's the secret ingredient that makes The Fifth Element so special. It was made by people who believed in it, who poured themselves into it, who lived it. You can't fake that. So there you have it. 16 facts about The Fifth Element that prove this movie is so much more than just a fun sci-fi romp. It's a passion project, decades in the making, a visual masterpiece designed by a fashion legend, a love letter to comic books, and a story about the one thing that holds the universe together: love. The Fifth Element is messy, weird, colorful, and unafraid to be exactly what it wants to be. And maybe that's why it still resonates today. In a world of safe, formulaic blockbusters, it dared to be different. It dared to be bold. It dared to be unforgettable. If you haven't seen it in a while, go back and watch it again. You'll be amazed at how much it still holds up. And if you've never seen it, what are you waiting for? Thanks for watching Classic Reel Cuts. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button, subscribe for more deep dives into the movies you love, and drop a comment below. What's your favorite moment from The Fifth Element? I'd love to know. Until next time, multipass.